So hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about some common myths around Bitcoin and blockchain technology. I'll also explain you what actually is the truth about Bitcoin surrounding those myths. I'll try to talk about various aspects such as ownership, its legality, its safety, and some of the other myths it has about funding, war crimes, etc. Before beginning, I'd like to mention that this video is not financial advice in any capacity. This is only for educational purposes and to help you understand this new technology better. This won't be looking at Bitcoin from a financial or investment point of view, but only as a new technology and something you can be excited about. So let's dive right into it. So myth number one, that Bitcoin is owned by China, they control and manipulate it, and it is one of their ways to fund their cyber warfare in the future. This is something that I recently read on various WhatsApp messages also. Well, let's talk about the actual facts now. So this particular myth probably got fired up due to the constant scrutiny that China faces and the Indo-China conflict. Anything technological that we do not really understand, we tend to blame them on our neighbors. Well, in actuality, Bitcoin is truly decentralized. What does decentralized mean is that it is not owned by any single entity or neither it is controlled. It cannot be manipulated by a single person or an organization or even a country like China. In reality, nobody is even sure as to who started Bitcoin. The author of the original Bitcoin white paper is a real mystery so far. So, the myth that Bitcoin is owned by China is absolutely false. Now let's talk about myth number two. We read this quite around, and there have been a lot of shows on Netflix, on Amazon Prime and other platforms where they have shown Bitcoin as an easy way to promote bad behavior for criminals and terrorists. It helps them transferring money anonymously with no consequences. And all this is done on the pretense of the fact that maybe Bitcoin is untraceable. Well, in reality, much like your emails, you can only change your name that is displayed on the screen. But it is not completely anonymous. At best, it is pseudonymous. On Bitcoin, every transaction is logged forever, permanently, and cannot be modified or deleted. Since Bitcoin is essentially just an append-only ledger. If you do not know about this particular feature about it being append only, you should definitely go through my two previous videos where I explained how does Bitcoin actually work. Not only does it make all the transactions open to everybody, it is also easily traceable. In fact, it is far more easier for law enforcement to trace Bitcoin rather than actual cash, gold or diamonds used for same transactions. So this myth number 3 is particularly interesting. Recently in news, there were a lot of claims made that using Bitcoin is illegal or maybe trading in Bitcoin is illegal. To be entirely honest, this isn't entirely untrue either. Some countries like China do have restrictions on Bitcoin. For example, China went on an all-out war against Bitcoin when it specifically tracked down miners, shut their activities. The government completely broke down against Bitcoin, to be honest. They made transacting Bitcoin or using Bitcoin illegal completely. To be fair, all around the world, this largely depends on what purpose are you using Bitcoin for. If you're of course using Bitcoin to make an illegal transaction, for example, buying illegal substances like maybe weapons, drugs, etc., then definitely just like any other currency, Bitcoin becomes illegal because it is part of a transaction which is illegal altogether. But as I mentioned in my previous slide also, that Bitcoin is traceable and hence criminals now refrain from taking payments or making transactions through Bitcoin. In fact, some countries like El Salvador recently accepted Bitcoin as a legal tender. So in a nutshell, trading in Bitcoin is absolutely legal except for in a few countries. Just to stress this point again, that Bitcoin is not controlled by any government, but the governments can definitely enforce some laws which makes it very tough to transact in Bitcoin, and the countries will not accept Bitcoin as a legal tender. Myth number 4, that Bitcoin is unsafe, it is easy to commit frauds with Bitcoin, and that credit cards are safer. But this myth probably came through from various news where you must have heard that some amount of Bitcoin was stolen or lost. Well, those kind of things came out of carelessness. For talking about safety, In my previous 2 videos, as I've already discussed, that Bitcoin has a large amount of cryptography involved in it, which makes it really safe. And since everyone is making transactions and everyone is keeping a record of it, and in fact verifying those transactions, it becomes extremely tough to create a fraud. I've talked about this in detail in my 2 previous videos. You can go check them out. On the contrary, for credit cards, we see news very oftenly that data has been leaked for credit card numbers, details about credit card holders, and those kind of things. There's a reason that criminals crave this data, since frauds can be committed using these medium. On the other hand, Bitcoin is a digital bearer instrument. The receiver of a payment does not get any information which can be used against the sender of the payment. It does not involve any personal information. All transactions take place in the public domain through the public key, and the secret key is always hidden. Unless, of course, you broadcast out your secret key, no fraud can be committed against you. We definitely see scammers trying to scam people for their secret keys and then commit frauds by transferring Bitcoin or any other currency to them. But those human errors cannot be easily outcasted by use of credit cards or Bitcoin. Recently, Target has started taking Bitcoin as official payment, and that has helped them a lot. The customer just simply goes up to the counter, scans the QR and transfers the required amount of Bitcoin. The system has become less flawed. Target now does not need to pay any extra charge to bank or any other central authority for additional security of their payments. Even if some fraud is committed due to mismanagement of data on the store side, the consumers will never have to pay for it. So this myth about Bitcoin being unsafe is absolutely not true. Bitcoin is safer than any other form of payment existing in the current ecosystem. So myth number 5, investing in Bitcoin is gambling and it has no real significance. Now see, for any investment that you made, whether that be in stock market, in mutual funds or anything else, risks are always involved. If you're making an uninformed transaction, an uninformed trade, there is always risk involved for losing your money. For something as volatile as stock market, Bitcoin is still a safer option. So for example, you have some stocks of a company ABC. Each stock costs some X rupees. Now this is entirely in the company's hand to reduce its value to X by 2. This kind of thing we commonly see in companies like TCS, where they have continuously reduced the value of each share. That is called dilution, and hence there is no particular limit on the amount of stocks that are going to exist in the ecosystem. Whereas for Bitcoin, at any given point there will only ever be 20 million Bitcoins at maximum. This scarcity and this difference between demand and supply is one of the reasons why the value of Bitcoin might increase in the future. So how does this work? Bitcoin is only ever created through mining. Miners are rewarded some reward, and this reward is halved through a process called halving every 4 years, or approximately 210,000 transactions. And this has been going on in a predictable trend. But Bitcoin is so much more than just an investment option that talking about only its investment side doesn't seem fair to me. For real world examples, well, that's something I could cover an entire video with, but let me give you a very small example. So let's take a very familiar example, which is of Netflix. Now Netflix is not something that is present in every country around the world. Well, there are a few reasons for it. Number one, since Netflix is a paid subscription, it needs to set up a particular payment system for accepting currencies of different countries. And due to different exchange rates between these currencies, there has to also be set a limit for every country. For example, Netflix is rupees 199 for a month in India, but it cannot be translated directly to approximately $3 in USA due to difference in lifestyle, different in inflation, and the actual cost of this dollar. Which is why Netflix isn't present in all the countries around the world, and a lot of other services take a lot of time coming in different countries because they have to set up payment gateways, they have to talk to the authorities, and much more. So even something like Netflix, which is absolutely virtual, it doesn't exist in even half the countries around the world, because a lot of countries do not have modern banking and payment systems, and this creates a big dilemma for a paid subscription like Netflix to receive payment for their services. But Bitcoin solves this problem as it creates a global platform for everyone to transact under a single umbrella. So one Bitcoin, if it is of X dollars, it is going to be of X dollars in India, it is going to be of X dollars in USA, it is going to be X dollars in England, everywhere around the world. So if Netflix made its service as 0.03 Bitcoin, for example, that means it would be costing the same all around the world and Netflix could reach more people. Well, this is just one case. There are many other use cases. I'll make sure to come out with a video on that as well. Myth number 6. Now this myth is particularly important after the last slide where I talked a lot about investment. So the myth is that this video might promote investment option in Bitcoin, that this video might be a financial advice, that this video might promote adding Bitcoin to your portfolio. Well, that is not true at all. This video is strictly for educational purposes to help you understand some myths around Bitcoin, whether that be as an investment option, whether that be it's about it being legal or illegal and other things. It is not to be taken as any financial advice. It only draws contrast between the current stock markets and the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency market. And most importantly, only invest in Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency after absolutely understanding, educating yourself, researching yourself, and at your own risk. So in a nutshell, my advice from this entire video is learn and educate yourself with this new upcoming technology. Without proper research, if you invest in anything, it is gambling, whether that be stocks or Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for that matter. Do not trust random WhatsApp forwards and obviously research things yourself. In the end, I just say thank you. If you like the video or do you have any feedback or you want me to cover something else, make sure you comment that down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video if you liked it. Definitely subscribe to the channel as it helps me going and it's free for you anyway. And press that bell icon to be notified when I come out with the next video in this series and other content that I post. So thank you again for watching.